All right, we're live. You ready?
Yep.
And I start the music in 3, 2.
Oye, te hablo desde la prisión. Wilson Manyoma. Borbona.
Shut up. There we go. Masters and Elm Podcast, episode 212. It's your boy, Justin. I'm also accompanied by the best co-host in the world, Mr. Berto. He'll be popping into frame shortly. We still are Twizzless, and we missed Twiz, but we're still here making it happen. So episode 212, we appreciate everybody that's going to be jumping in the chat, everybody that's watching live, everybody that's participating in the discourse as we go through the episode, so you guys can give us topics to talk about. You can give us some feedback. You can give us any questions, anything like that you might have. And again, you guys know every episode we say this, that we appreciate that everybody tune in live and interact with the episode. It's our favorite part of the show, is being able to interact with you guys as the listeners. And if you're not able to, we do want you guys to tune in to the audio version of the podcast. So every episode that we do live on stream, we're also going to have the audio version of that uploaded to your favorite audio podcast listening platforms. That's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Store, Stitcher, Podbean, iHeartRadio, wherever you guys find your favorite audio podcasts. And if you don't find our episodes on your favorite audio podcast listening platform, you can let Berto know, and he's going to let you know how you guys can get us that information so we can help you.
Join a Discord. Pretty simple, fairly simple. Simple request, join a Discord, and harass us until we place the podcast on your obscure podcast listening platform.
That's right. And here we are, episode 212.
212. I haven't done a sound check. I realized, when I was, let's see.
It sounds good on my end. Yep. You let me know how I sound on you.
Sounds good to me. All righty. Late? We're right on time. Right on time. Man, and we got a lot of stuff to talk about. A lot of things going on. A lot of things going on in the media. A lot of rain going on. If you live on the East Coast of the States, I feel like rain is crazy. And you know what's funny about rain? How, we're affected by, stuff that happens states away.
Yeah.
They'll get a hurricane and we'll get, a tropical storm.
That weather pattern kind of just changes from area to area to area. They kind of all affect each other, but there is some tricky stuff. It's funny you're bringing up weather. I was talking with my cousin, and he was telling me about the Cape and how it just certain weather doesn't hit the Cape because of certain weather patterns and where they are in terms of narrow versus wide, over the water, not over the water, and stuff like that. And I was under the impression that it snows significantly up in Cape Cod because it's in Massachusetts, and in Boston it's cold like it is in New York City.
Yeah,
but it's a little bit different. They don't really get that much snow. They get snow maybe 2-3 times a year over here.
Oh.
It's not the same. It's because it's so close to the water, and something with the water temperature, it's in the mid to high 40s, and it never goes below that. So for that reason, the precipitation and kind of that cycle of water evaporating into the atmosphere or something like that, it must never get cold enough to constantly have it snowing. But I thought that it would. So,
dude,
just another reason to say New York can go to hell sometimes.
I'm not going to lie. I thought all of New England was under snow all winter long.
Yeah, I guess it's just the Cape just coming out over the water and then being surrounded by water on two sides. And I don't know. I mean, I'm not a meteorologist. I'm not a whatever kind of ologist it is that be able to tell you about the land. But that's what I was told by a person that lives in this region. So
I was watching.
I got to take it for what it is.
I believe it. Hey, listen, it sounds like a fact to me. I'm going to repeat that to all my friends, and then it becomes a fact. That's how that works.
Of course.
Yeah, dude, did you see the meteorologist that was talking about like these tornadoes? He was like live. It was a live broadcast, and he was talking about these tornadoes that are currently coming through towns, and he can see on his screen that a tornado is gonna like go directly over his home. And while he's broadcasting on air, he's like calling his kids, telling his kids, "Hey, listen, get down in the basement. A tornado's gonna be coming over the house in the next like 5 minutes. Like take your sister, get your mother, get everybody, put them down in the basement, and I'll call you in a little bit."
See, 10 years ago, I would say hero. In 2024, I say staged.
You saying you think he's taking advantage of his position as a meteorologist and only helping his family?
No, I think that it's just staged in a sense that they knew where them tornadoes were going since the morning or whatever. But, you know, them kids were already out of danger. This is a TV stunt. I don't believe anything anymore.
Okay.
I'm sure it's going to get 5, 6, 7 million views, and this whatever lame ass news network this is going to get their views, and everybody's going to applaud, and this is just going to be some other bullshit.
You know what? Last week I took the opinion of somebody who does not agree with or doesn't believe everything he sees online. So I got to back you on this one and say maybe you're right. It could be. It's not what I initially thought when I seen the video, but it could be true. I don't know anything about tornadoes or meteors, so I'm not qualified. But staying on the topic about like trends and things like that, something that we've been talking about probably since the Shman Shmemi is like the American like tipping culture and how it's kind of overflowed into like different industries or services, or not services. Actually, that's like what the debate is that like this tipping culture is falling into places where like there's like no service to be done. Like you go to Burger King, swipe your card, they're like, "You want to leave a tip?" It's like, "Nah, I don't want to leave a tip." You're going to, you know, this place, that place. An interesting article I read over the weekend was a restaurant going viral for putting like a sticker over the no tip button on their credit card device. So like what it looked like was like they just had like one device that you go up to the front, so it didn't look like one of the ones that come to your table. Like you go to the front, swipe your card, and right where it would be like no tip, they just put a sticker over it, so you couldn't select no tip.
So almost like you felt obligated to tip, like there was no option to not tip.
Essentially, yeah.
Okay. Do we know what kind of restaurant this was?
No, I tried to do more research, but the what I read was very kind of like it was just like a headline on like a post with a picture of the device. It didn't look like much of like a crazy establishment because the picture that was taken, it was like a $20 like meal. It didn't look like it was like a restaurant. It was, the title said restaurant, but kind of looked more just like a maybe
like a takeout order
like
spot.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, thank you. That's like one of the biggest ones. I'm somebody. Listen, I tip when I go to restaurants. If I sit down at a table and I'm assigned a server, and honestly, I really don't care. I'm not even one of those people that says like, well, your tip is dependent on like how well you serve me. The truth is that you got to be real bad for me to really adjust my numbers. Everybody's going to get the basic 20%, you know? But some people, like some places, yeah, it ain't really providing a service. You know, I don't know if you deserve a tip when I go pick up my food at a restaurant. I don't tip when I pick up my food at a restaurant. I don't, because I came and got it, and there's nobody who served me, nobody who like, you know, waited on me. So that's my opinion. I also think I also think that we're the only ones that even do that, like around the world. Like Americans are the only ones that do that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're doing takeout and you're picking up the food, I'm not tipping.
Yeah.
I'm not tipping for a takeout pizza. I'm not tipping for takeout sushi. I'm not tipping for anything where I did not experience the help and the service of a server. You know, so I 100% agree with that. Where I have my issue is when people don't tip when somebody was coming over to the table and serving them, bringing them waters, bringing them drinks, taking their meal order, that kind of thing. But I think a lot of this stems from this is just the default on software that they're using now. I think it's just kind of with whatever software program they decide to go with and pay for and have integrated into their restaurant or into their business. I think that this is something that pops up is the tip. And I think that we as people, and especially Western culture, we've kind of been pulled into this thing that this is them requesting a tip. It's like, no, this is the default setting on the software that's saying you have to give a tip to the guy that at fucking Office Max that is ringing up your Trapper Keeper and your printer. Like, that is not who's supposed to get a tip. I think that this is for the service industry. It's not for the 7-Eleven looking for a tip or the takeout order restaurant looking for a tip.
Yeah, I mean, if it is something like that's in the software, they need to like go to the settings and like disable that shit. Because it's honestly, I don't think it makes me not go to a place, but it does kind of turn me off sometimes where I'm like, I don't even want to have this weird like thing with you where you're like disappointed that I didn't tip you because I came and picked up my food. Like a perfect example is this halal place that's up the street from me. It's the same exact thing. You swipe your card. I go to pick up my food. You swipe the card. It asks you for a tip. But before you leave, like it's like a tablet. So he turns it to you and then you swipe your card, you select the option and he turns it back around and he'll be like, you want a receipt? So he gets to see everything. He has to confirm that this went through before you leave. And he always gives me like this like disappointed look like, man, you couldn't bless me. I'm like, I don't know. It's just, we kind of brush on this, not just, today on other episodes where I think both you and I kind of feel the same way where, or I wouldn't even say you, I'll just say me. Restaurants should compensate their employees better. I'm sure there are restaurants out there that are compensating their employees, but like this whole entire idea of like relying on like the gratitude of others is just not a fair game to play. Not when you're talking about like earning a living or trying to earn a living.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you, but, I do want people that have that similar thought process to be prepared for that cost to be passed off to the consumer, right? So if you want people, at, let's say, for argument's sake, Starbucks, to not request a tip at the end of service, then, that $6 latte is going to be $12. And, we as people, if we disagree with the tipping structure and certain kind of structures of the service industry, we need to be prepared because business owners are not going to take on that cost. They're going to pass that on to us.
When it comes to restaurants, they do have like that rate that they can pay like a sub minimum wage, but then that only kicks in and I could be wrong about this, but my understanding is that kicks in if the server doesn't make enough money. But if the money that they make, I guess in gratuity, reaches to a certain amount, then they get paid out a certain amount of money before they could get paid that minimum number. I could be wrong, but that's the way I thought it was working. I just want to get to the chat real quick before we move on to the next topic. Because Spaz says, and I don't want to have to come back to it. We missed some tornadoes discussions. So real quick, about tornadoes are spontaneous and unpredictable. Hush puppies. And then Spaz, in relation to what we're talking about right now, Spaz says, it sometimes pops up, yes, but a restaurant owner will never turn it away. It's free money towards labor costs, which means it's easier to pay your staff. And the more tips your business gets, the less you'll have to pay as a base wage. $6 to $12 is a bit extreme. Probably closer to $7 if we're being realistic, though. And another thing is Starbucks. I know that you were just giving an example, right? But when we're talking about places like Starbucks, these places aren't even the ones that qualify to pay their employees less. They're still abiding by like that minimum wage. Whereas if if you go to a restaurant, the servers are getting paid. They have like that weird rule where they could get paid less because of because of gratuity. And you're most likely right. If something happens where they have to pay people more, like we're the ones that are going to be paying for it. I don't know how prices can continue to increase. Like, I don't see how things could get even more expensive than they already are. But I can I definitely agree with that. That the business never takes a hit; it always gets passed on to the consumer.
Yeah, I'll tell you how it could cost more if people vote for that woman Kamala Harris. That's how it could get fucking worse.
Oh, I thought you said. I thought you were alluding to her bringing down the prices of meat. Spaz says, correct. If you're a server and you take home after an hour less than minimum wage, then the business needs to pay you the difference.
Yeah, fair. I mean, again, I don't know the deep intricacies of this hourly wage for people in the service industry, but I do understand the basic principle that if things go up for a business in terms of wages being required by the state or federal government, or or an increase in taxes or an increase in cost on a product, they're going to pass it off to the consumer.
Yeah.
So, we can say we want people to make more money, which is fine, and I agree. There are a lot of service industry jobs that I think should be paying people more money. I think that they, that's fair. But again, if I say that, I also have to be ready for my latte to not cost $6. It's going to cost $8.
Yeah. How do you feel about when they automatically add the tip in?
That's only, in my experience, it's only in certain parties. Like it's like 8 or more or 10 or more. They include gratuity.
No, I know, but what's your opinion on it? When you see that at a restaurant, is it something that I always thought it was an amount of money, but maybe it's a party size thing, and I'm sure it changes from place to place. But I'm curious of how do you feel when you get the bill and like gratuity is already concluded?
Number one, I think it's easier because it stops everybody at the table from disagreeing with the amount you should pay, blah, blah, blah. The amount is what it is. That's one thing. And number two, I think that for a restaurant, when you have 8 people, 10 people, that's an annoying table. They're going to be annoying. Somebody's going to say, I don't like chicken with the bone. I want no ice in my drink. He doesn't drink. He needs non-alcoholics and mocktails. She has an allergy. That shit's just going to be an annoying party to deal with. So I think they just deserve a little more money. If you come with 8, 10, 12 people, you're fucking annoying. And you need to be charged more money.
Nah, that's a crazy fucking take.
That's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's just unrealistic,
8, 10,
right?
12 people, you're fucking annoying.
No.
You're annoying.
That's a crazy take. First of all, if I come with 9, 10 or whatever people and you dislike, like that's your job. That's what you got to do. There's no other place in the world that that's the way it works. Like you guys are bringing in too much business here. You guys are going to have to charge you more. You guys are bringing in too much fucking, it's crazy. You're annoying. It's like, that's the name of the game. If they don't like it, then they shouldn't be doing that job, right? If you feel like, you don't want to deal with that kind of stuff, then maybe this isn't the right industry for you, because that's the name of the game. Like that's their only reason for being there is to serve the table. And I don't say that in a derogatory way, because I have nothing against anybody who works in that industry at all. But I'm just saying, it's like, that's kind of the name of the game.
By annoying, I mean needy. You're going to need more than the 4 top table, than the couple. You're going to need more visits. You're going to need more shit. I'm going to have to bring a person with me to bring the food. We're going to have to set up one of those little fucking foldable like X-frame racks to put the tray down to give you the food. It's more labor to serve a table that size. So you can't leave it up to chance that this table is going to choose to tip. Now you have to tip. You got 10 people. Like, you can't not include gratuity because you're too broke to take 10 people out. You need to give the money you need to give a little bit extra because it's more labor. That's my opinion. That's my take on it.
Yeah.
Because it's significantly more labor to go back and forth to a table, and it's just probability that if you have 10 people, that somebody's going to have an issue, somebody's not going to like their food, somebody's going to have an allergy, this person needs low salt. Like, you know, it's always, I think, going to be something like that.
Yeah, but does it really affect like the server? Because if the server is seating, let's just say 10 people, right? What's the difference between you sitting one table with 10 people or 3 tables with 2 of them having 3 people and 1 of them having 4? You know, it's like the same exact thing.
No, it's not the same exact, because now you're dealing with, you know, one group deciding on that amount of labor if there's a tip or not.
Yeah,
with the 3 separate ones, you would need all 3 people to not tip you.
But there's no increase in labor, because if you're charging for labor, then that cost is calculated into the cost of the service. So when I'm bringing in more people who are each getting individual meals, then they're paying for their portion of the labor.
Yeah, but are you the annoying guy that shows up with 10 people and don't want gratuity?
Bro, you know me very well. I don't ever go anywhere with that many people. You've never, ever seen me not tip. Ever. I never have any, I don't want any problems to do with money, with some shit that the man made and then like uses to enslave us. So no. I'm not the guy who goes I never want to go anywhere with that many people, because then there's a game where it's like, I got a pina colada and you got a martini. I hate that shit. And
that's my point. That's why you have to include gratuity.
No, but that's an argument between the people, right? When the bill comes at the end. But if gratuity isn't mandatory, then I don't think it should just be thrown on the bill.
It's only with certain party size. I've never seen it gratuity included with anything less than like an 8-person party.
I've had it done to me with when we went out for my mother's birthday. It was last November. There was 4 of us, and it was auto included. And what they kind of told us were like, oh yeah, when you spend over a certain amount of money, it just gets automatically included. Which, from my perspective, I was like, man, you probably would have got more than 20%. But like now it's already in here. But I also understand that some people would give less than 20%, so they can't roll the dice and say, well, some people are going to give us more, so let's just throw it in. It's just one of those things where it's like, I guess hey, I'm going to pay it anyways, and I'm going to tip whether it gets automatically included or not. But sometimes you just have to look for it. It's like, oh, wait. Is the gratuity included? And is this something that's like even like kosher? Like, can you just throw this on there? Because I get it from a moral perspective that we might believe that gratuity is necessary, right? But it's not mandatory, right? So how can they just throw it on your bill? Or is it, and I'm just misinformed?
I mean, if they include gratuity in the bill, it is mandatory. Because they're a private business and they're adding on a fee, essentially. But
I guess it wouldn't be gratuity then, right? It would be something else. I guess that's just semantics.
One of those tricky words that
it's just semantics. Real quick to catch up on the chat, because Spaz seems to have a lot to say about this, which is great. Anybody else who wants to share their opinion on the tipping culture, feel free to jump in the chat. He says, I don't mind an auto gratuity. What irritates the heck out of me is when they put the tip section at the bottom without making it obvious that they already took a cut. Now, fun fact, last time I checked, it's illegal to require a tip. So you can have them take the gratuity, but you look like a total ass. I think it says take the gratuity off, but it's like covered up by the little heart in the corner. But you look like a total ass. Yeah, no, 100% agree. Not anything I've ever done. I'm kind of like just arguing this perspective to argue it, because I'm not really one of these people that doesn't tip. I will say, just like Justin said earlier, I'm not tipping on takeout. But at a restaurant, I think these guys work hard. And I think that they're working hard, like, you know, without knowing what you're going to give them. So they're giving you that genuine, you know, hard work, going back and forth from wherever they're going from to you know, or coming back to check on you to make sure everything's good. So for that reason, I think they should be, I don't mind tipping them. But if, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that perspective. That's fair. You know, I think that if they do a good job, to me, there's going to be a baseline amount. It's almost like that teacher that starts you with an A. It's up to you to keep it.
Yeah.
That kind of teacher.
Yeah,
Like,
20%,
listen,
right? 20% is the base.
yeah, I'm going to give you 20%. You know, if you really fucking suck, if you're failing miserably, like I'm talking about, if I take a girl there and she has an allergy to tomatoes and you give her tomato and I'm like, yo, she can't have tomato, and you come back with tomato sauce and I'm like, no, you're going to kill my date. Like, you can't, like, nah, bro, I got to penalize you because you almost cost me this tonight and I almost had to take her to the ER. So for that reason, you're not getting that same tip.
Yeah. Because now I got to replace this $90 EpiPen I just stuck this chick with.
Thanks. So now if you really do your thing and you make it easier for me to not have to go to the ER, you know what I'm saying? Then I'm gonna, I might have to hook you up. You know what I'm saying? I might have to bless you a little something. You know what I mean? I might have to bless you a little something, little tequila nightcap shot on the way out. And, I might bless you.
And you know what? Maybe you get a guy that does a couple buybacks. Maybe you get a couple drinks on the house. Those guys deserve to be blessed,
Thanks.
You just mentioned something that takes me right into our next story. Speaking of people going to restaurants and dying, have you heard about the woman who died after eating at a Disney Springs shopping complex in Orlando? She, a family goes into the Disney Springs Shopping Center complex, goes into one of the restaurants, lets their server know that this person is highly allergic to certain stuff, and they tell the waiter. The waiter goes back, lets the kitchen know. They order their food. Boom, boom, bam. The food comes back. Before consuming the food, they ask the waiter again, "Hey, I just want to make sure this doesn't have XYZ, right?" And the waiter assures them that everything should be fine. Well, everything wasn't fine. This lady ended up dying. And later on, the family, I guess, post-grieving, filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Disney. And you know what Disney's rebuttal was?
What?
What was it, Roberto? I'll tell you what it was. They found that this guy had opened up a Disney Plus trial subscription, and that by agreeing with the terms and conditions of the Disney Plus trial subscription, that he agreed to not having the ability to sue them.
Wow. So this is kind of a 2-layer topic, right?
Yeah, but I will say, before we get, before anybody says I'm misleading people, I will say that today it came out that Disney's actually taking that back, that they're not going to use it. And it's probably because it wouldn't have held up in court. Because, you're saying that, the thousands, the tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people who download Disney Plus, now can't file any kind of lawsuits for something that's completely unrelated against Disney. It seems, I think the word is unconscionable or something like that, where it's too ridiculous to stand in court, even if it's something that you've already previously have in your contract.
That sounds to me like they did a little data analysis, and they realized how many people would potentially cancel their Disney Plus service that they've spent hundreds of millions of dollars trying to get off the ground. So that's number one. It was their bottom line, I'm sure, right? Yeah. And I got a take on this. I might get some backlash on my take, but I think if you have that severe of an allergy to food, stay your ass at home. You can't go out to a restaurant. It's not everybody's responsibility to protect you from your own allergy. Number two, why do you not have an EpiPen on you? If your allergy is that severe, you should have 2, 3, 4 EpiPens on you at all times. And anybody that's unfamiliar with what an EpiPen is, it's a medication. It's an emergency syringe that's administered to you in your thigh. You stab it in your thigh and you press the little button and it administers epinephrine into your body. It will save you for 15, 20 minutes sometimes until the EMS or the medical providers can arrive at the scene to then, administer aid. Then you have another one. You give it every 15 minutes. As many of those, if you have two, you give it 15 minutes later. If the person is not, you give it again. If EMTs are not there yet, that's what you do. So it's your own responsibility to manage your food allergy. It's not every restaurant's responsibility. So it's not a wrongful death. It's a dummy that didn't do what they should have done for their dumbass allergy. That's what I think.
Yeah, that's a very interesting perspective.
That's what I think. Dude, you can't, if you have a severe life-threatening allergy, you can't just be going to Olive Garden and getting some spaghetti.
I'll tell you one thing. I wouldn't put my life in the guy's hands back there. I wouldn't roll the dice if I wouldn't roll the dice. But
no way.
It's a tough one, especially when you're like severely allergic to things. I know, like, remember, back in the day when we were going to school, it wasn't that prevalent. There wasn't like this rule where you couldn't bring like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Now, like, depending on like who's in the class with your kid, like you might not be able to pack certain lunches for your kid. Your kid might love chunky peanut butter, but if there's a kid in your class that wasn't breastfed and he's got a fucking allergy, you can't pack that because he'll kill that fucking kid.
Yeah, but guess what? That kid is supposed to have emergency protocol in place. That kid's parent is supposed to be in communication with the school nurse to say, my child has this kind of allergy. Here is the EpiPen prescribed by my doctor if my child happens to be exposed to said allergen and experiences an allergic reaction leading to anaphylaxis, which can cause a disruption in breathing and can cause ultimately death in that child. Are they not administered this medication in a timely fashion? That's a different thing. That kid's parents need to communicate that to the school, that this allergy is that severe. If they don't, then again, this fault lands on the parent.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that this is a situation that opposes that, right? They did inform them of this allergy, and unfortunately, like the restaurant made a mistake, gave them something that they specifically told them that they can't have, and as a result, this person died. And same thing with a school, right? When they announced that, when the parents tell them that this kid has a terrible allergy, gives the nurse whatever they got to give them, they then tell the teacher. The teacher then informs the parents, right? And then the parents can't send a peanut butter or jelly sandwich in. But if one sneaks through, this kid is still in harm's way. I just want to get to the chat real quick. What's up, Chris? Chris looks like Chris joined us, and he says he's been following this closely. I wonder if he's talking about what we're talking about. And he says, does everybody remember to freeze their access to their credit reports? Forced arbitration should be a crime. Does everybody remember to freeze their access to their credit reports? He's referring to the leak that leaked essentially possibly everybody's social security number. If you guys are looking for how to do this or any more information on this, join the Discord. Chris posted a bunch of really good links and articles relating to this. Honestly, I suggest everybody, even if you don't join the Discord and stick around, I suggest you go in and check it out. Then he says 100% right. But if you go out of your way to advertise that this restaurant caters to your allergies, then it doesn't. It's a bit different. And this restaurant does advertise exactly that. And then, sorry, Justin, he says you got an L take. That means it's a poor take. He doesn't agree with you. That's what that means. That's the new way of saying you're dog shit. It's an L. I don't think you're dog shit, Justin. I don't agree with the take either. I don't know if it's an L. Definitely not a W. Anyways, L take. No way. Yeah. Damn, the stupid heart. I know Spaz already showed me how to take it off, but I got to go to it.
I can read it.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead, read it, please.
He says, I'll read this defamatory take about myself. He says, L tape. In no way this is their fault. They went out of their way to confirm multiple times. In general, you're right, though. I would say if somebody is going to a place when they know they have an allergy, there's no way that this person had an EpiPen on them for their allergy. There's no way, because they would not have died. It would have extended that time frame to when some kind of medical personnel could have gotten to them. They must have been there. She must have been there in her flip-flops with her little fucking thing around her neck to put her money in. You know, the little waterproof canister. You put your little dollars in there. You put your little ankle bracelet in there. When you go on the tube ride, you close it up. You know, she must have had that with some Tylenol in there or some Midol in case she gets her period, whatever. But she didn't have an EpiPen. That's what you need. You didn't need the Midol for your period. What you needed was an EpiPen so that you wouldn't die. And instead, you didn't have one and you died. That's crazy.
Let me ask you a quick question. Do you think that the meal that she had was like magically delicious because it was like stuff that she couldn't have, that she hadn't really had because she was allergic to it? And she was like, man, I don't know why, but this shit, I shouldn't even be saying this is terrible. This lady died. But she was like, man, this shit is delicious. I don't know what they got in here, but fuck, this is good.
Dude, it was the forbidden fruit, bro.
Yeah.
It was the forbidden fruit, whatever it was. What was she allergic to? Was it shellfish? She had a nice lobster tail and then bought the farm? What was it exactly?
The article that I read said that when the hospital did like their analysis on her, that she had dairy and nut products in her.
Oh,
I'm laughing. I'm laughing at the nut product part. I'm not laughing at her dying. I'm laughing because I'm immature and I can't say nut product without thinking about semen.
Yeah, especially dairy, leche con, you know. I think if she had nut products, do we know what exactly it was? It was dairy and nuts. Those are basic allergies, bro. You don't have an EpiPen with you, lady?
I don't know. But I will say, in fairness to like this entire conversation, this came out like a couple weeks ago. But then because of the new thing with Disney, like kind of taking off that, you know, oh, wait, you can't sue us kind of thing. It came up today, and I was like, oh, let me talk about this. I think I wrote it down to talk about it when it came out, and we just didn't get to it because we didn't have enough time. I don't know. I just think
we need to get back to accountability. I think we need to get back to it's not everybody else's responsibility to accommodate your allergy. It's not the airline's responsibility to accommodate the fact that you're 450 pounds. It's not every playground's, responsibility to accommodate your kid that can't run through the swing set. Like, it's not up to everybody else. You need to make accommodations for yourself. If you can't walk, you can't book a stadium seat at Yankee Stadium up there. You can't walk. So you can't get on the stairs and walk up there. So you can't sit up there. It's not Yankee Stadium's problem to make sure you get up there.
It's interesting.
Up there, that's not our problem.
It's interesting that you have this take on like on this one, but you I have to word this appropriately. I think it's interesting that you have this take from on this, right? But do feel like we should tip people, because I think that the equivalent take would be like, it's not my fucking problem that you can't pay rent. It's not my fucking problem that you didn't educate yourself and get a career. It's not my fucking problem that you did this or that, right? It's kind of like that would be the equivalent perspective, right? It's like, it's not my problem that you weren't breastfed and now you have a terrible allergy. Oh, man. But you know what? I will say that all this comes from, like, the playground thing. It all comes from somebody getting sued. Like, somebody trips on a playground, and then somebody becomes a millionaire off of it, and it's like, uh-oh, now we can't do this anymore. We got to be careful. We got to put railings up. The floor needs to be made out of material that we can only get from the moon. Has to reduce the gravity in the area so nobody slips and falls. There's no sharp corners. It's like because nobody wants to be sued anymore. It's almost like we can't have nice things because people keep fucking it up and then suing them.
Yo, touche. That's real. I mean, I don't know really where I land on this. Should we catch up on the chat and see what's up? Let's
Go ahead. You can catch up. Go ahead.
So, all right, where we leave off? We left off with Chris, right, saying I took the L on that.
Yeah.
So
right
let's go to
that.
Spaz. So, hot take: EpiPen shouldn't require a prescription. I agree with that to a point, but you also have to be careful because epinephrine can cause like cardiac dysrhythmias and shit like that. So there's other side effects to that medication. You can't just have any and everybody having access to EpiPens. They'll be shooting people up with an EpiPen for no reason and causing all kinds of other issues. So I agree with you to a point. I think if you can prove that you have an allergy, you should be able to have access to one, and it should be kind of subsidized by the government, in my opinion. So next, I don't know if there's something out there that I'm severely allergic to, but I can't get an EpiPen. So Spaz cannot get an EpiPen.
I think what he's saying is that like he's not aware of any allergies that he might have. However, he can't have one just to have it just in case if he does one day go to a place and end up in some kind of in an anaphylactic episode. And I will say that happened to me once. Where this isn't necessarily true, that I know that I'm allergic to certain fruit, right? But I fucking like to play life on the wild side. So every once in a while, like I'll eat pineapple and shit like that. And one day my mother came back from the Dominican Republic with fresh, I think it was like guayaba, and she made like a drink out of it. Bro, I started drinking this and my throat started getting hard to swallow. And I was like, oh, I'm allergic to this, and I should take some Benadryl or something before I die. I survived, but I had no idea that I had allergies to what is that? Guava? Is guayaba? Is that the same thing?
To be honest, I wish I knew because I know guayaba. I know guava puffs and like guava fruit, but I also know guayaba, and I was like, that's a different shit. But
because guava's green and guayaba is like purple.
I think the outside is green, the inside's like a red pulpish, right?
Oh, so maybe they are the same thing. Either way, I believe that's what he's trying to say. That we should have one just in case. And I think if it doesn't get you high, fuck it, put it on the shelves.
Listen, I agree, but it's like it's nobody's fault if you never knew, right? If you get stung by a bee and didn't know that you had a bee sting allergy, it's nobody's fault if you don't get an EpiPen. That's just a shitty event. You never got stung by a bee and you don't know. So if you don't know that you have, let's say, an allergy to grapefruit and you eat a grapefruit one day and then you have some kind of catastrophic allergic reaction, it's nobody's fault. We didn't know. You didn't know. It's not like baseline healthcare protocol to go and get and be seen by an allergist and be poked by all that shit and get blood work to see what you're allergic to, because this is kind of a new phenomenon. I would say probably in the last decade or two, where people started having these allergies. I mean, the peanut butter and jelly sandwich when I was growing up was the alternate meal. If you didn't want the chicken leg or the burnt or raw pizza on a Friday, you would get the peanut butter and jelly alternate sandwich, and nobody had an allergy when I was growing up. Now these kids, the wind blows east instead of west, and their throat closes up and their pussy hurts. Like that's like a new thing. That's like it never happened before. So I don't know what the hell is going on. Like these kids again, I don't know what it is. So you really can't put your finger on it because you have no idea what it is. These guys, like their eye blows up from a butterfly blowing past them heading north. You have no idea what these people are allergic to now. So there's no way to be able to hit them with an EpiPen that affects that they don't like Netflix movies with fucking with whatever it is with the words on it, with the subtitles.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Closed caption. I would say that it would be nice to kind of have one in the house, just in case somebody comes over and maybe they don't have theirs on them. They're, it's in their other purse. Just have one in the house, similar to the way they're handing out Narcan, right? Because you can get Narcan.
I have both. I have an EpiPen and I have Narcan. Just in case. I have both. In case, like, if I'm somewhere and somebody needs it, I can give it to them.
Yeah, you stick them with both. Just if you show up there and they're already on the ground, you hit them with both just in case.
Yeah, I hit them with both. First, you try to wake them up. You go, "Hello, are you okay? Are you all right?" And if they say no, then you just like, "Wake up."
Karate chop them. I want to get to the last thing in the chat. The Spaz says, "Breaking news: Justin hates people in wheelchairs that don't build their own ramps."
That's not true. That's not true. That's a different thing. But we can't be out here thinking that people get 2 and 3 seats. They get all of row A because they prefer a Whopper over an avocado. That's not fair.
I was watching this YouTube video where this woman describes how you get your money back when you purchase an airline ticket. She goes, "I purchased 2 airline tickets, and then I always get refunded for the second one because, like, it's like a thing. I don't even want to get into the fucking airline thing and the seats and buying an extra seat or doing this or that. But I think just because we got so many topics and it's only 8 minutes left and we've just been talking about handicapped kids this whole time. Oh my God, Justin, you're gonna suck me into committing a hate crime or verbalizing one at least. Man, dude, there's so many things I have written here.
Go ahead. Come on. Hit me with something.
All right, real quick. All right, let's go back to back. Let's go rapid fire real quick. Everybody's fucking favorite, excuse my French, everybody's favorite high school sweetheart, your crush as a child, my crush as a child, any 90s kids, Topanga Lawrence, a.k.a. Danielle, I think her name is Danielle, I hate my spelling, Fisher. A.k.a. Topanga from Boy Meets World, announced that she has breast cancer. Terrible, terrible, terrible news. She says that she's going under surgery to have it removed. We're wishing her a speedy recovery.
Damn, Topanga Lawrence. Shout out to Topanga Lawrence, man. I wish I knew her real name because I feel like it's a little bit disrespectful. But when I tell you right now, I wanted to be Corey so many times. Sean Hunter was way cooler, but Corey got Topanga. So Topanga was the whole reason why you made the argument in your own mind that you would rather be Corey than Sean. Sean was cool. Yeah. Sean was out the house, nighttime.
Yeah, his dad didn't care about him.
Chilling. He got the girls. Sean Hunter was the man.
I'm pretty sure his dad bought his friends beers.
Yeah, his dad was like, let him party. I'm a cool dad. Do it in my house. That kind of thing.
100%.
But then Corey got Topanga, and Corey getting Topanga, I'm sure they wrote that in there intentionally, was the whole reason why they were like, we need a reason to make kids not want to be Sean Hunter and instead want to be Corey. How can we make them want to be Corey? And they were like, oh, we'll give Corey the attractive, beautiful, level-headed girl in class.
It's funny. I wasn't what I thought you were going to say.
Nah.
I thought you were going to say, we'll give Corey some pussy, because that's exactly what I was going to say.
Nah, but she was the hot. She was attractive girl. Like, we were kids watching that show growing up. She was the attractive one. 100%. It's like, it's the whole reason why in Saved by the Bell, Zach was cooler than Slater, like Mario Lopez. If you look at it now, as I'm an adult, I'm like, yo, Slater was way cooler than Zach. But Zach got what was her name? He got Kelly. He got Kelly Kapowski. Kelly Kapowski. So that's the reason why Sean was cooler than Slater. But Slater was really cool. He was always fit. His dad was in the military. He was a wrestler. He was legit, bro. He was in shape. He could dance and shit. Like, AC Slater should have been the archetype for what the young man wanted to be. But instead, we all wanted to be Zach because he got Kelly.
Yeah. And her name is Danielle Official. Thank you, Tom. I don't know when I spelled it. I didn't throw. Oh, there's the L. There it is. Far, far away from the E. Danielle Fishel. If you guys can see the way I wrote these notes. All right. Next up, Kevin Gates smacks a streamer. Streamer approaches Kevin Gates, what looks like it to be in a mall. And I don't know what he says to him. Kevin Gates didn't seem to like it. Gave him a little smack over the head.
Can we normalize this? I'm sick and tired of these YouTube pranksters and stuff running up on people. Listen, you run up on somebody trying to do a prank and they smack you in the face, that's your own problem.
Yeah, dude, remember when they were like, what was like it was like punch a something? It was like where you punch a communist or punch a something, and there was people out there just punching protesters in the face? Do you remember this?
Not really, no.
I think this was during the last election. Anyways, now I think what you're saying is that there should be like another campaign where we're punching like live streamers who want to prank the public.
Not that I'm advocating for this, because I would never want that to be attached to our channel.
Of course
I'm not advocating for violence. What I am doing is just like, sometimes people need to learn that not everybody's playing along with your little script.
Yeah.
And for your own safety, you know, as a streamer, I think it's in your best interest to not run up on people and think everybody's willing to play along with your game.
Yeah.
So for your own safety, streamers, avoid random strangers on the street and trying to get them into your content by doing something obnoxious to them, because they might not all want to play along.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, don't make me a part of your content. I don't want to be a part of your content. Not that this stuff ever happens to me, but I don't go out enough. But yeah. Okay, perfect. Next thing, rapid fire. Next up, Trump and Kamala. Me and Justin were talking about this earlier. Have you guys seen all the Trump and Kamala AI stuff that's coming out?
It's very funny. The ones where it's trying to make them look like a couple, that cracked me up. It was so funny to me because they made Donald Trump look exactly how he looks, but then the AI software always made Kamala Harris look prettier, more. It made her look younger when really she's old and washed, and that's okay because of her age and who she is. But they just, politics is stressful on a person.
Oh, yeah.
You're not going to be at your dating prime when you're 10, 12, 15 years into politics. It's not going to happen.
You didn't even qualify to be president at that point.
Yeah, facts. You can only qualify to be president at this point if you're almost 100 years old. So I found that funny that they kept on making her kind of look cute and giving her good angles and stuff, but making Donald Trump look how he looks. They didn't make him look worse. They made him look how he really looks. But Kamala Harris, they shaved like 10 years off of her. They shaved like 10 pounds off of her. They made her look like a little more Latina than whatever she is, because I forget now. She's something different every week.
I thought she was Indian. Now people are telling me she's Jamaican. She's Jamaican Indian. I'm like, what's going on? Where is this lady from?
Yeah, I don't know what kind of curry she's doing. I don't know if she's doing jerk chicken or curry chicken. I don't know what's going on.
I didn't even make the curry connection. I
have no idea. I don't know if we're doing jerk this week or we're doing curry this week. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
That's mad funny. That's super funny. I never made the curry connection, but it's there, and it's very entertaining. Politics in general. Dude, we're the laughing stock of the world.
I know. It's pretty bad. I don't think it'll always be this way, but I don't know if I see an end to this coming anytime soon, man. It's kind of, we're looking a little foolish right now, man. You want to catch up on the chat?
Yeah, like Chris says her father's Jamaican, her mother's Indian. Her father apparently used to own slaves. LOL. Her father's family. Sorry. Her father's family apparently used to own slaves. Jeez. Sheesh.
I mean, most people.
Yeah, Justin, tell us how you feel about slaves.
Most people from years ago, dude, this was like a dirty part of industrializing a lot of nations. Like, if you look back in anybody's family history enough years back, decades, centuries back, People have been enslaving people forever across cultures, across continents. I mean, you're going to find Italian slaves. You're going to find Puerto Rican slaves. You're going to find African slaves. You're going to find Mexican slaves. You're going to find Asian slaves. There's slaves in every culture across mankind for all of time.
Correct.
That's just what it is, man. I mean, they're enslaving people now in America. You got inmates that are forced to do labor. That's enslavement. You're not paying that person just because you're giving him 50 cents on his books so he could buy a half a bag of Frito-Lay and split it with some dude so he don't stab him on the yard. Like, that doesn't mean that you're not enslaving these people. You're making them do work. You're making them create products. You're making them do stuff. You know, even enslaving them to maintain the prison. Making them wash the floors, making them do the dishes, making them do the laundry. Like, we can disguise it as a job, but they're not choosing to do that job. You're making them do that job. You know, so take your pick as to what you think enslavement is, you know?
Spaz says, I just love that her father is Donald J. Harris. Is that true? Is that her dad's name, or is that is that sarcasm that I just didn't pick up?
Damn, no way. Donald J. Harris. Imagine that. Is that real?
I don't know, dude. It's in the chat. Spaz says it. He's never lied to me before. But it could be I'm terrible at not reading inflection in text, so maybe this is sarcasm and I just don't understand it. And
Berto's getting low. Berto's getting low.
I'm getting low. It's real quick. Chris says, I just think that her doing it's true. He says it's true. And Chris says, I just think that her doing the collard greens in the bathtub is BS because her family owned slaves. She grew up in an Indian cultured house. She was not making soul food. Yeah, she's pandering, dude. She's definitely just trying to get people. But that's the same reason why she's getting people that she has no idea who they are. She's paying them to come on stage with her, paying them to endorse her. Like, none of this is, like, it's all fugazi. It's all money. It's all it is. It's money. There's no reason why you should have to pay somebody to publicly endorse you. You know, there's no reason why we give a F about what political candidate a rapper is voting for. Why do I care about what Ja Rule thinks at a time like this? You know what I'm saying? Why do I care? Why do I care that Sexy Red endorses you? Why do I care that Lil Pump is on stage with Donald Trump? Like, this guy is a drug addict, or maybe he used to be a drug addict. I've seen him do drugs on the internet, and you want me to listen to who he's gonna vote for? This is the guy you picked, Lil Pump? Lil Pump? The guy who Adam 22 filmed getting a blowjob when he was like 16, dude, allegedly? I don't know, dude. That's why I said, like, we're kind of like the laughing stock, because it's so crazy what's going on, and you know, it's like people are falling for it on both sides, like hook, line, and sinker. We and Justin were talking about that before the episode. Trump posting all the AI images of Taylor Swift, they're like AI generated images of Taylor Swift endorsing Trump via like wearing Trump shirts or Trump swag. Another picture of her dressed as Uncle Sam, like saying like vote for Trump, and it's all like AI generated art. People are believing that all of a sudden, like, Taylor Swift is endorsing Trump when she's publicly denounced him in the previous elections. So it's like, it's all a fugazi. No, we don't know. I don't know essentially what's real and what's fake. And I also don't feel like you should pick a political candidate because your favorite rapper, says to. Sorry if I kind of went off.
No, I think it's just an exercise in just it. This is going to show us how much true control the media has over the uneducated, stupid American. I think that's what this is really going to show us, because if people turn out and show up to the polls and they actually vote for Kamala Harris, then we know that our country is not run by anything other than media. Media dictates the outcomes of elections. Media dictates the outcome and the dissemination of information. We can no longer believe anything that goes on in the political climate in America. if that happens, because, you know, anybody with a brain knows she's involved in the presidency right now. For the last 3.5 years, she is the vice president. If she hasn't been able to enact any kind of change or anything to improve what's going on in this country, why would anybody think that she could as president? She's literally in office right now.
She's
So
in
if
the,
you
she's in
don't
the room next
understand
door.
what?
Sorry, I cut you off. I said she's in the room next door.
She's in the same room. You know, she's in there. She's in these meetings. She's being briefed on these topics. She's well aware of this. She's supposed to be informed to the point where she could take over today if something happens to the president. That's the whole point of the vice president. You know, she's a backup. So if she hasn't been able to do anything to this point or influence or enact any kind of change, why would we ever think that she would do a better job if she was in the driver's seat instead of the passenger seat? No way. You know, it's just going to be an exercise in what the media is able to make us believe and make the masses of America believe and subscribe to, period.
I was going to say, the chat is so funny. Big Gulp says, he says, yep, nah, you right. And she's a woman. It's a little icing, there's a little cherry on top. He says, and she's a woman. Just to play devil's advocate, not necessarily my opinion, but a lot of people, are, you know, what some people who, you know, might be fans of Kamala might say is that one of the reasons why it's difficult to make changes right now is because Biden's been cleaning up the mess that Trump left for him, which is, you know, I've actually have heard that personally when debating with people, not debating with people, just having conversations with people about, like, you know, the current climate of our politics and, you know, what, you know, essentially Biden did for us while he was here. And, you know, one of the first things they say to me was, well, you know, he's cleaning up everything that Trump left. You know, it takes more than a couple of years to kind of fix some of these things. And, yeah.
Well, what's getting fixed? People got to tell me what he fixed.
Oh, don't ask me to fucking back this argument. I simply play devil's advocate so we can have, you know, opposing perspectives on here. I truly don't know. I don't know.
I hear you, because I do know things don't happen overnight, but I would have to see something that he fixed. Like, I'm just going based on my life, right? And the buying power and the, you know, home ownership and purchasing homes and the cost of groceries and all these things. You can't tell me that this, I mean, Trump was president how many years ago? And I'm not saying he's great, because everybody knows he's not. Like, I mean, we don't have a great president we haven't had a great president in, I don't even know how long. So, you know, we can't say that this is all based on the previous administration, because, you know, I mean, that's a long time to see the results of what he did.
Yeah,
you know, so
I think the people are essentially,
and I also don't know enough. Like, this is deeper than what I know.
Yeah, and I will say, I think that essentially what people are alluding to is that the successes that Trump had was as a result of things that kind of fell over from the Obama administration, and then some of the downfalls that Biden might have had is as a result of, you know, cleaning up messes that Trump left behind. That's obviously a very skewed perspective, because it seems like people are saying, like, Democrats good, Republicans bad. But yeah, Chris says, and then I think we should close out because we are over the hour. But Chris says in the chat, and the heart's covering it up. So if I miss this, just correct me if I'm wrong. Yo, I'm just saying, can we get a president who's male, maybe green skinned, spellcaster? I need an orcish wizard, which I don't necessarily disagree with him. If we get somebody that's not one of us, they may be neutral. You know, we get some non-humanoid up there, they might be like, listen, all you guys are wrong. This is the way we're going to do it. You know, get policed by somebody, you know, an outsider. Objective opinion.
Facts. I can't disagree. And Spaz says that, you know, regarding the term limits that we were discussing, he says, if that's the case, then the terms need to be increased for president. Because if you can never judge a presidency in 4 years, why is 4 years the term? Good point. I mean, if I'm going to sit here and say my opinion, I think that say what people want to say about Donald Trump. I think that his 4 years, I was doing better. I was doing better financially. I was doing better, in every way, period.
You could afford
and
steak?
Then go, what?
So you could afford steak?
Yeah, different things. You could afford steak. You could afford steak. I was putting money away for the down payment on a house. And then Biden came into office, and just a couple years into Biden being in office, everything is crumbling. I can afford way less. My buying power has gone down. My potential to own a home has vanished. So if I'm doing it, if I'm making the judgment myself, Biden is a complete and total loser, and anybody that has voted for him or supports him is also encouraging that loser life. And I think that in order to allow people to kind of climb out of this full-on defeat, we need a change in leadership. And I'm not going to say who that is or isn't, but it is not that geriatric, senile person that's in office right now.
Well, luckily for us, he's going to retire after this. But like I said, we are over the hour. We're 11 minutes over. I'd love to keep talking about politics and try to get this podcast buried as deep into YouTube as possible, because that's what they do when you talk about things that they don't like to talk about. But looks like we're going to have to end it.
We're going to end right there. This Master Numb Podcast, episode 212. Thank you guys so much for rocking with us. We are a matter of, possibly 2 weeks away from being back in studio together. Yes. I cannot wait to be back home, to be in studio with Berto face to face. Let him see my beard that's coming in nice and white, salt and pepper. Let him see this in person, and let him see my tattoos on the right side of the screen that he hates to see. But we're going to get back in there. And in the meantime, we appreciate everybody that jumped into the chat, everybody that participated, sent some questions, sent some, some things that they, some opinions in the chat. And if you can, watch the video version. If you can't, make sure that you check out the audio podcast version on all your favorite audio podcast listening platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Store, Stitcher, Podbean, iHeartRadio, your favorite places to consume audio podcasts. And if you don't find us on your favorite one, or you have one that we have yet to hear about, Berto's going to let you know what you can do to get us to put it on there.
You can join the Discord. Go into the chat, harass us, tag Justin over and over repeatedly, and harass us until we place the podcast in your obscure podcast listening platform. With that being said, like Justin said, that's it. I'm going to get up because I got to get up and do the switcheroo. 2 seconds.
All right. And while Berto's up, I want you guys to please do us a favor. Help us with the algorithm. Help us get this podcast in front of more people, in front of a larger audience. We are at 941 subscribers. We want to get to 1,000. So make sure that you share this with someone. Make sure, more than anything, you hit the thumbs up on your way out. You subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell, because that will inform you guys every time we go live, which is Tuesdays at 7. But if for any reason there's a change in the programming, change in the schedule, you will be alerted. So please, guys, hit that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. That helps us get in front of more people than less, and that's what we need.
Oye, te hablo desde la prisión.